Woohoo! It looks like it's Ashala and I at this moment, but I am sure that Norma Jean's going to jump on anytime.
Oh, great. Well,
Yeah.
This is what happens when we can only find scheduling time early in the morning for all of us wild things. You're getting me with no makeup, just came out of the lake for my morning bath, and let me tell you, it was a chilly warrior experience.
I bet you're fresh. You know, it's that activation. So when I do that in the shower, or I go and I put my feet in cold water, I haven't plunged lately because my body just doesn't want to do it, but it's very activating for the cells because it has them react, right? So do you sense that when you're doing it, that you get that big?
Oh, I mean, it's really, facing yourself. Like my camping out experience is not usually this rugged because it's not usually this cold. Like you can see your breath in the morning. I'm like, whoa,
right?
I'm taking it to the next level.
Yeah, that's a better layout for us. Yeah, you are. And that's amazing. And I'm in the car, so I'm stuck in traffic. So I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to jump on live. I always joke because I do videos in the car all the time. Because, when you're driving, that's when you've got the space and all of a sudden stuff drops in. I'm like, oh, I got to share this right now.
I do so many readings for people in their cars. Like people often will have their reading in their cars. So just in case you feel shy about doing that, don't. Lots of people do it. And it's like a place you can get away and have a little bit of time to yourself without interruptions. And
it's my orca spaceship.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. The paint color name is Orca, so it's my orca whale, and we're inside the whale, and we're safe, and it drives like a ship.
I love your orca whale. I met her when we were at the lake last month.
That's right. That's right. And we will chat about Vedette towards the end of the show. We're going this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. Very excited to.
So you're going to be there on the full moon again.
And the solstice.
Wow.
All I did was douse it, and I don't look at the calendar in that way and think about it too much. I'm just like, when should we go? This week? Okay, we'll go then. So I'm quite excited to see what unfolds. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. As if the energies. Go ahead.
I'm sure it'll be muy bueno.
Yeah. Well, we are going swimming. That's the one thing I said. We're going swimming. Yeah, whether or not I like it, I'm jumping off that dock. So
it really does. I always think to myself, well, I was laughing this morning too when I was having my morning bath in the lake. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of intense, but there's no one around, of course, because who wants to be down at the lake at 7:30 in the morning when it's freezing cold, right? And it's like, I've got the loons serenading me instead of having, partners and kids going, hurry up and get out of the bathroom. It's like, I got the loons just serenading me. And I'm like, this is so luxurious,
Right? I love how you flop that right to gratitude. That's perfect.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a choice, right? I don't have to live like this. I can live in a nice fancy place if I want, but I'm choosing to live outside in the summer because it's good for my soul.
Absolutely.
And with this work that I do, it's almost essential as a type of therapy for myself to keep my sanity, to stay grounded, to stay clear. Yeah. And, people go, oh, well, not everybody can camp out. Well, I'm working 5 days a week. In fact, this week I worked 7 days a week. I was in the office every single day this last week. It was raining out at the campground anyway, so I was like, I'm not sitting out here. I'm going to go get some work done. But, it's just like going home after work. So it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. We were just at Savory Island doing some work on decks, literally us laboring, including my daughter Jade, which was quite miraculous to say the least.
Ooh,
Yeah, but it reminded, and you know, it is like, it's like, okay, stop working now, check out, we're done for the day, beach time. And at Savory, the tide goes way out, and you get to go through the layers of underwater and the different creatures and critters that are there, which is really beautiful. Yeah, absolutely loved it.
So precious. And no matter where you live, you know, unless you're right in the heart of a major downtown somewhere, and even there, you know, there's ways to get out of the city once in a while. And it's just so essential to me to reconnect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I just want to say hi to Chris and Janice over there. I do see you. I can't share your comments because I'm driving. I do see you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I wanted to just tap in around the current energies. Let's jump in on this because I feel like I've been waking up and again feeling like I ran a marathon at night. And just from the way my body feels. And so I think there's been a lot more alchemizing, further timelines, which I don't think that really stops, but some shadow integrations and alchemizing. And I'm just really curious, one, have you been feeling the same, and what would Spirit like to share with us on that?
Okay. Oh, wow. I pulled cards. So I'm actually going to just tilt the screen briefly for a sec here so you can see that I've laid out this little spread on it.
Awesome.
Yep. And so I'll pull them one at a time. Today I was like, wow, I can't wait to have our collective guide present to do some divining about where we're at, because I also feel, I mean, it's sort of like the best of times, the worst of times. Intense times, right? It's like some really, really amazing things. So this is us. Grief. Yeah. It's the card of grief. It's the card of collective grief and shadow work. Someone just reminded me about a very powerful grief healer. Let's see if I've got it written down here. Oh, see if I can remember his name. It'll come to me. Yeah. Francis Weller. That's who it is. Anyway, I was just looking into some of his stuff again this week, and he works with Thomas Hubel, who is one of my favorite international experts on, well, really avatars on trauma healing and collective trauma healing. And so they're working together. I just think this is so extraordinary because they're two phenomenal minds and hearts working, collaborating on reconnecting us with our grief, and they're basically saying that our grief is like the gateway to our soul, and without passing through it, we don't access the greater gifts. So it's not something that is like, oh gosh, got to get some of that grief out of the way. It's just a pain in the you know what, and like it doesn't serve a purpose. It's maturing our souls. It's like helping us connect with value and life force. And because we don't let ourselves, or we don't have good grieving culture here in North America and the Western civilization, it's all bottlenecked inside of us, and it makes it hard for us to access our soul. So one of the things that's happening right now is this grief is coming up, and we can't escape it anymore. There's nowhere to run from. You know, people have for eons tried to they've tried to like outmaneuver it, outthink it, and now it's sort of at the gate. There's nowhere else. We've got it. In order to go through that gate to get to our soul's destiny and all the good things, we have to go through this. But we get to go through it because it'll bring us deeper into our true selves. So that's the grief. We've got, in the past, we've been doing a really good job of, I've been saying for a while, it was a war on information, then it was a spiritual war, And now the war or the invitation is in the realm of the emotions. So we've got a lot under our belts in terms of doing research and learning a lot. We have so much more to work with. Our worldview has expanded so much. Most of those of you watching, many of our friends and allies, we've woken up to so much phenomenal wisdom and information. And now we're kind of going, well, what do we do with all of this? You know, how do we make sense of it all? And now we have to go into this, which is the Fool, which is let it all go. So we've taken all that in, and now we got to let it all go. Does that mean you forget it all? Well, what it means is you stop glorifying the knowledge and the information, and you surrender to what do you get to do differently now that you have that awareness. You don't know, we don't know what that's going to give us unless we let go and try. So, they're saying now we're on the journey. Now we're on the journey of trusting.
Absolutely.
And then the answer, what do we need to know about these times? 10 of Pentacles. It's sort of like, to me, it's one of the top 3 or 4 cards in the tarot. It's the final card. It's the legacy that we leave behind as a result of a life well lived, which is really about where we've made our mark, what we've voted with our dollars, with our time, with our attention, with our thoughts. And so this 10 of Pentacles is, what do we need to know about right now? Where everything you do, think, say, buy, invest in. I'm often saying to my clients, the honor to work with people who are investing in themselves.
Right.
Making, where else do we get to have an hour of undivided focus and attention held space to connect with our soul? And similarly, the adventures for connection, the events and the journeys that you do with people. It's like an investment in ourselves. And we just don't know how these investments are going to affect everything and everyone. They're going to affect the whole.
Absolutely.
So we're being asked to work with our grief and continue to recognize that everything counts. Everything you do counts for something. Oh, I just lost you for a sec there, Tanya.
Sorry, kicking into my Wi-Fi.
Oh, great.
Are
Awesome.
you coming, Norma?
The transition.
I'm on with Ashala.
Hi, Norma. The transition is upon us. So, and the outcome or the next step is the 9 of Pentacles, which is the sovereignty, the individual self. Know thyself, invest in thyself, care for thyself. It's a very physical card. And then in the advice cards, we have Temperance, healing, and the King of Pentacles, the material realm. So we're bringing it back in to the body, to our stuff, the stuff we own, the stuff that we carry around, what we invest in. So there's a lot here. Look at this. 3 of the most powerful pentacle cards.
Wow. So that was an important question.
9, 10, and King of Pentacles. It's pretty much the top 3.
Yeah.
Here.
All right, that was my fault. I take full responsibility. Come on back, guys. We're here. I guess when I hung it up on my phone, I don't know, I must have hit the button when I was doing that. I was so excited to get to the computer, so I didn't have to hold my phone. Yeah. So, all right. So, Norma Jean, how are you? Nice of you to join us.
Sorry, I had to come back from the other planet that I was on because I was so there. You know, and this is what happens when you get so focused on the things that, you know, you're in the process of creating, and, you know, you showing up and being on is like, oh, crap. I forgot.
I'm like, I know she didn't forget on purpose, so she'll jump on at some point.
Yeah.
So what you missed out, and we'll just do a little recap, and then we'll get this video scene together. So I'll get my Nikki to put it together for us, who does all the amazing work in the background. And while we were recapping, I was asking about, so we've been alchemizing more shadow work, right? And collapsing more timelines as we integrate more of all of us within. And it was quite the reading. Do you want to just do a quick recap on that, Ashala, with the cards?
Yeah, basically it was, you know, our grief work, our collective grief work, is the gateway to our soul's work, really. And we are at a place where we can't outrun that anymore. And it's actually a great blessing for us. It's, you know, the timing is perfect. It's beautiful timing for us to open our hearts and explore grief. You know, I worked with a really incredible Indigenous shaman for several years, Martin Prechtel. Some of you might heard of him. He wrote The Secrets of the Talking Jaguar, and he does a whole huge, his whole major focus is on grief and gratitude. And he's saying, basically, we can't hold an expanded, heart open soul space with tremendous gratitude and reverence for all creation if we're blocked with grief, because grief is something that's mattered so much that you have huge emotion around it. But if we stuff that or shut it down, then all that becomes almost like a grief prison that we're in, and we can't feel, we can't connect to the beauty of creation. And it's almost like we're outside of, like, we're in purgatory. We're in soul purgatory because we can't feel anymore, and everything is we're chasing, you know, feel good,
Right?
Feel meaning, feel anything. And so the grief work is the beautiful entry back into our soul. And it's not something that you just want to get over and done with and avoid. It's beautiful medicine.
Absolutely.
So what is that? And what does that look like? It came up, all these pentacle cards. It came up all around our stuff. I think we talked about this last time. How our energy
was showing up a lot.
Realized, I just remembered we went over this last time, and our stuff is like basically filled with grief, and we are walking around in this prison of grief that is in all the material things that are surrounding us. So there's something about, we start with our bodies. It's the physical, it's the primary physical matter that matters to us. And then we start with our surroundings, and we begin to care more about what we surround ourselves with. Like, you know, what we vote with in terms of our dollars. If we surround ourselves with things that, first of all, are aesthetically very pleasing, not a lot of garbage and low quality stuff. And then also things that are handmade, homemade, made by someone you know, even better, made by you or someone in your family. So we're just caring to begin to focus on all those little details of the material reality. And that's going to help us integrate a lot of this shadow work, as you're saying, Tanya. So yeah, that's basically, it was a lot about healing the physical realm that we basically got ourselves boxed in by all this stuff that's filled with grief.
Yeah. So, and lots of people are sharing too. And I know for me, there's childhood memories that come back that surface that you're like, I don't even remember that. Wow. Why is that coming up? And I just wanted to remind everyone, because I've heard it several times, is that this is your opportunity in the same way to be the observer, to observe that small child and let them know it's okay. But don't go into that painful situation again, because most of them are traumatic, right? It's the trauma blocks that we have, the things we stuff down that we block so we wouldn't remember so we could survive, right? And so now that we're starting to feel safe and the energies are allowing it, and if your body's at a specific point, they're going to surface, but not to relive them, not to re-traumatize, to take the opportunity to observe it and nurture that inner child and say, it's okay, we've got this, we can let this go now, and to release it with love and grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tanya.
I haven't had a chance to really express this in the last couple of days, but it's like every new day that I've woke up to, especially these last 3 days, there's this feeling of familiarity for me. And the feeling is fresh. It's peaceful as far as what I've been expressing or experiencing when I wake up to these new days. It's like you can feel, it's like a newness. What I'm picking up on, what I'm receiving, that there's so much that's going on right now. It's profound. And what I've been feeling, as like I said, I've been waking up, at least especially these last 3 days, and I don't know why, but it's like there's a new air. It's almost like fresh air, because it's like I'm so much more aware of myself. I can feel it's like I can feel my skin breathing in this new fresh air seems to be taking place. I don't know how else to express it or explain it, but I just wanted to share that, especially giving, right? Especially,
She doesn't mention this to me.
I've been so busy. It's like I've been so focused, and I've been utilizing this time because what we spoke to yesterday, T, was about the fact that it seems like things are just so much faster right now. That it seems as though the speed of light is really actually presenting itself in certain areas and certain levels and ways of what we're experiencing through our expression. And I've just been in creative mode so tremendously these last few days that it's like I've just been taking this this new feeling, so to speak, and utilizing it for the creative processes and creative purposes of what we are creating and building here. So
yes,
100%. So remember, I kept saying there's something big about I could feel something big was shifting. And that's what it was. It's around this collective energy as well. Yeah. So I tend to feel the collective quite a bit more, or sense it. Not that I take it on, but I'm aware of it. And I was like, oh, there was a big shift over the weekend, especially, which is one of the reasons I think it rained so hard here. Was like a whoop, right? This
here too. Yeah.
Whenever that happens, I'm like, oh, that was a big release. And so they're showing, right? The nature's always reflecting what's going on. And so we're being shown that it was a huge release. And a lot of people either feel better or they're still in the process. I feel like you're feeling better. I'm still in the process. Just depends on where you're at. So right or wrong way. Absolutely. Yeah. And in these unfoldings, right? Like we've said, as you're having an unfolding, you can't see the fold, right? Or if we're ascending, spiraling up or spiraling out, you can't see the next corner. You think about when you're on a roller coaster, you don't know until you start climbing, but then you don't even know what's after that because you can't see it. And so then that's part of the beauty of it, right? It's full of
What's beautiful things is about origami right now, because if you really think about it and utilize what origami represents, as you're creating whatever it is that you are wanting to express, whether it's a swan or some type of bird or whatever it may be with the origami, you got to realize and recognize you're in that creative process. So what you're doing is you're taking a thought in your ideas in what you're wanting to manifest, and you're folding it Okay, you're folding, you're creating the folds. So as you create that origami, what it is it comes to be a shape. But guess what? Even after so long, origami can stay together for a very, very long time. Yet it's time for it to unfold itself to show you that whatever it is that you were in that creative process of creation to want to experience becomes manifest as it unfolds. If you want to create something new out of that, create, what you created to put that, that manifest in that desire to experience something. So you unfold that and create something new with it.
Right?
Yeah. I love it. Well, this, we're at this full moon as well, the full moon and the summer solstice. Like, holy, all this weekend when you're going to be on your incredible journey to Vedette, which I'd love to hear more about. But I want to just speak for a moment about this full moon energy and how Tanya was mentioning the rains. And we're so grateful here in British Columbia. We all live in Western Canada, in the westernmost province, where wildfire season is a serious concern for us.
Yes.
The entire province for the last decade or more has really been ravaged by tremendous, huge wildfires. And so we're so grateful for a lot of rain, for a lot of moisture, even though it's not so much fun. I'm out camping, so it's a little chilly and a little wet. But we'll take it because it seems like it's this beautiful balance of Mother Nature, which is the card that I was holding. Yeah. And when we think about the waters moving, which are happening, it's happening all over the planet right now. There's a tremendous amount of water moving around, flooding, extreme rainfall, huge storms, and that sort of energy. And it feels like it is that grief. It's the grieving, the collective grieving, because the water represents emotion and tears. So in a way, we are energetically reflecting. The weather's reflecting us. We're reflecting the weather. And it's interesting because we're heading into the sun in the sign of Cancer, which is a deeply feminine water sign. Again, about emotion. This full moon is in the sign of Capricorn. The full moon is always facing the sun sign. And so it's Capricorn, among other things, is about maturity. It's about taking the high road. It's about, karma and consequences of your actions and being responsible. So it's like we're moving into the responsibility around allowing all this water to process and heal us and heal our planet. That feels to me like a lot of what's going on right now. Are you feeling that too?
Cleansing.
A huge purge and cleansing. And as we were saying earlier, and Norma, you maybe missed this, we've already done a lot of the physical expanding our consciousness about what this reality is, and gathering that information, and then going through the spirituality part of it and understanding it's a spiritual warfare. And now we're on the emotional. We're in the,
and the last one will be the physical.
Yeah.
So we're right. It feels to me almost like we're on the bridge between the emotional and physical now.
Yeah.
The precipice.
Yeah. That's exactly how
dance.
Yeah. How exciting. Yeah. And I really feel that a lot of people right now are at the end of the rope. They're sick of waiting without realizing some of what's holding them back is a little more inner work and working on self. And that's kind of where I've been at. I said to Norma, I said, just show me what else I need to work on, right? Because the idea is to embrace the change, embrace what needs to come up, embrace what needs to shift and happen so that we can move through this next process. And I do believe that will be a very powerful weekend this weekend.
Yes.
That's my intention anyway.
Yeah, it's you know, it's going to be, that place is so profound and magical with the energy that it is and what it presents itself. And every time I go there, since having the chance and opportunity to first visit back in December of last year, it's a new experience every time because the energies are different. They're moving, they're shifting all the time because of it being what you call the center of the universe, because it is it's a main hub, so to speak. It's a main portal, gateway, paradigm, whatever it is, you know, you want to be able to perceive it as. So I have anticipation of going up there and just really taking in and enjoying what it has to show me this go around.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to bring back with that to be able to express and share with our audience.
Yeah.
To let them know that just keep moving forward. Because, you know, our past doesn't have to be the cause of what's taking place in our moments. Our past is something that's reflective to allow us to know exactly the clarity of what we're being shown in our moments. So it's about understanding how to utilize when a past, you know, when something from our past comes up. What that means is that, hey, there's something in my environment that's letting me know, hey, this is something that's still within me that I have the chance and opportunity to take and to transform.
Yes.
And to grow from. And to hit that ascension level of perspective of the opportunities to continue this growth in this cycle of self and that self-exploration.
Well, thank you for that, Norma, and reminding me, you know, when I was there with both of you in April and the readings that I did for people while we were there, it felt like there was such an extraordinary, I mean, it's always such an extraordinary opportunity, portal energy when I go into that space with people. It's very sacred. It's great honor, you know. And what I found most interesting and beautiful about doing the readings there in this such a profound environment and the cabin and the nature and everything was that it felt so visceral, like you could feel people integrating the messages. And my sense is that when we do sessions, you know, even when we just do these kind of live shows and stuff on the internet, it's beautiful. And I'm so grateful for this tool that allows us to connect with people all over the world and have these really meaningful expressions and experiences together. But in person, in a place like that, it feels like it can literally go into people's cells immediately. And like the healing is happening as the reading's happening. You know, there's not a delay and the integration is immediate because there's so much energy supporting that. And that's what I really appreciate about doing these kind of, you know, gatherings, intentional gatherings. I feel like this is the way of the future. Intentional healing gatherings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Because when we're in a circle and we're connected, we're all, it's hard to explain it unless you've been in a circle like that, where you feel seen and you feel heard and you feel connected, because that is needed as a human being. And when you're online, yes, especially because we've now connected in person, I can feel the vibration. But when we're together, it's even stronger, and, you know, it grows and grows and grows. And David's there too. And the sweat, and July is going to be amazing. We're not going in August, and we're likely not going in September. So this is your opportunity, people. If you want to go play at the Debt with us and Ashala and David, and really be seen, heard, healed, whatever you need, we've got you. And so, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And even if you need to fly in, I'll come pick you up.
Well, and I want to mention to people too, because I know we're all socially anxious and awkward to some degree. And then you add on top of it the isolation that we all went through as a result of the pandemic. And now I feel like a lot of people maybe even feel a little bit anxious and hesitant to go into a strange environment with strange people. And although we're not strange people, we're so much like friends and family. And I feel that way about so many of, our viewers and my clients. It's just like they're my friends. They're my people.
Absolutely.
We're tribe,
Absolutely.
But what I want to express with so much gratitude and reverence is that these two incredible women create such a space of welcoming and safety. Like you can be yourself. You want to go sit somewhere alone and just have your experience. Like there's no one's judging or watching. It is the most incredibly relaxed, open, welcoming, comforting space. And that I just really want to put that out there and
thank you,
encourage people that it's not some pretentious thing. I think we all get this like, oh my God, I'm going to a retreat with all these spiritual people. And like, it's like, what if I got a booger hanging out of my nose? Oh my God, I'm going to, or whatever. Right. And it's like,
there's some on your nose.
Yeah. This is part of the beauty and the magic of coming into a space where actually our sacred sovereign autonomy is valued at the highest. The most important thing is that.
Absolutely. And it's allowing everyone to just be themselves. Somebody needs more exercise or they need more. You go do you. I know that one of our guests went and found a spot down in the Reed so she could have some alone time. And then we're all like, you found a spot where? So after she was done, we're like down there at the Reeds, like, I gotta check this out. I didn't know about this spot. And I've been coming here for years. So yeah, everyone always gets what they need, not necessarily what they want. But as you're closing out on that weekend and integrating afterwards, you realize how powerful it was. Mm-hmm. And so even a little bit of resistance to things is really good because it's pushing you out of your limit a bit. And only when you push past what you perceive to be a limit or a fear or a hesitation, when you push past that, there's this freedom and opening for you to step into. And that's what's really powerful for me and what I love witnessing so much is just people feeling the energies and feeling the connection. And we had some very different people there.
Yeah.
But everyone was very accepting of each other. And that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And that's the thing I want to really express is that you don't have to look a certain way or dress a certain way or be whatever. You come and be yourself. And, these intentional spiritual gatherings, I call them pilgrimages, really. It's like everyone that arrives together in that space are meant to be there for a reason. Like we all instantly form a bond of community. And that's one I think of the most incredible things is people often are like, I don't want to leave my family. I feel so close to all of you now. And that there is a place for you if you feel called and you're able to make that commitment to yourself and your soul's journey. There is a space that with your name on it, then you're needed there.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Should we tap into the solstice coming up? The fact that the sun has now hit its peak and then starts to...
Oh, yeah. Let's look at the solstice energy. I'm going to tilt the screen so you can see as I'm shuffling here.
Yeah, it's been... I think this is part of this, right? Purging things out again, right? It's part of this leading up to the next. And things have just been moving so quickly compared to a year ago. So don't forget to remember how far you've come.
Yep. Oh, yes. I'm going to do it this way now so I can see. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay. 2 7s. There's that 10 of swords. Another 7, 3 sevens, lucky 7s. Woohoo, 3 sevens.
That's the 3.
3 is kind of the blessing. 7s are like the spiritual number. So that's why, you know, when you think of like the slot machines or whatever, right? And the lucky 7s, the 3 sevens that come up, 3 sevens is particularly lucky. Now, lucky, there's a bit of a disclaimer here because it's kind of like exactly what Tanya said. It's the stuff that's good for you, even if it's not what you want. So you're lucky that your soul is pushing you out of your comfort zone. So here we have us making decisions. And, you know, I'm almost reminded of that. If you want to make God laugh, tell him or it your plans, right? So there's something about we're half of us are like half of ourselves is making conscious choice or less. Say maybe 40% of us is making conscious choice and 60% of us of our being is making subconscious choice. Okay, so we are moving away from this incredible disconnect, abandonment wound, disconnected from our environments, from nature, from our bodies, from our communities, from our wealth and abundance. And we are ready to go in a new direction and tackle things. This is I like to call this the resume card. We gather up you see how he's surrounded by those wands, which can be his comfort zone, but it's also a bit of a prison. And he's got this final wand and he knows he's got to go in a new direction with it. So he's looking and he's a little battle weary. You see how he's got like a bandage over his head. He's kind of like, oh man, I know I got to go in a new direction. I know I got to step out of my comfort zone. How do I do that? Okay, so we're at this juncture where there's a lot of surrendering to not being able to figure it out mentally. And if you're going to work with your mind, work on self-mastery, mind mastery, especially over your unconscious habits that are detrimental. So these are the 3 sevens. We've got 7 of wands, which is, it requires effort to continue to do this spiritual work, right? This 9 of wands guy, he's going, I got to step out of my comfort zone. We're going to be called around the solstice to stand for what we believe, step out of our comfort zone, and strategize to move away from these habits that are destructive. So it's that Capricorn, Cancer, you know, the Cancer energy, which is the sign of Cancer. A lot about home and safety and security and comfort, right? Maybe a little bit indulgent. And Capricorn is about taking that road of discipline, self-discipline. So there may be an invitation to apply, I don't know, discipline is not a good word, but I want to say strategic mastery to the things that are a little bit like these downward whirlpools that we get stuck in, and we have to go outside our comfort zone to do that.
We were just talking the other day about the mind. I'm like, it's like a mind. It's like a reset. You're reprogramming. You're getting an upgrade, right? Which is like a diete for the mind. So what are you watching? What are you consuming with your eyes and your ears? Mm-hmm. What are you willing to take in? And then you can master your thoughts. Because if you don't like a thought is not fact. So you can flick it away or say, no, thank you. I'd rather this instead. And so as you slowly do that, you start to master your mind. Mastered your mind, there's no going back, because the monkey mind is tamed. And yeah, and the ego is there for its purpose, but it's not ruling your life and controlling you. Yeah, we're seeing so much purging of this anger. Go ahead, Norma.
It's so profound. You two, y'all really just do so much for me to open up to just all this. I just keep getting shown, this movie picture or whatever. And they're like, hey, pay attention. Use this as an analogy. So let's take into consideration, we're talking about the mind here. And we're talking about, the information we're taking in and this, that, and the other. So we're talking about, the mind from the higher perspective all the way down to the material perspective of how we approach things. And they were like, use this analogy right here. In this material plane of existence, look at your mind in the monkey mind as the monkey mind are your little minds that are in the soil that, as a soldier, you've got to be aware of to make sure you don't step on these things. Never know where they're at. And that, when you look at that and you understand it to be, wow, this is so great. Such a great analogy, because that's what the monkey mind does. It's like when that monkey mind gets going, you've got minds going off in this experience you have going on, because you're not being aware of where they are to be able to go in and deactivate them. So when you look at minds, and even in the movies they show, there's either this little pin or this button that you step on, and you've got one or two choices whenever that thing goes click. You either move and boom, or this is where you begin to use that common sense, that rationale, and get creative about what's the process that I need to take, what's the steps I need to take to know how I can walk away from this mind without it going off. Wow. And that's how strategic we can get, because that's how you become more aware when you begin to use analogies like this or metaphors that when you already are in a war, never mind what's going on out here. What about what's going on here?
Yes.
So when we begin to realize and recognize that these are our times of stepping into that battlefield of mind control.
Yeah.
To understand the mind.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, what an analogy of the mind field. And that
mind.
Right. And
it's all etymology.
And it's so fascinating to imagine, like, myself, I know that especially years ago, I would step on those things and be like, oh my gosh, where was that? Somebody put that there. Who put that there? And then gradually, now I feel like the reconnaissance is to go out and not only sweep for those things, but also to decommission them. Like, let's actually remove them forever. Right?
That's where the awareness comes in. Yes.
Can't just like go, oh, I avoided it and I'm going to make a note. Don't go that way anymore. It's like, let's actually do the extra work, because I feel like we're ready to do that. Like, let's take a moment. Where's that coming from? Where did that originate? Where did I inherit that? Is that, and things like the emotion code and all these different modalities that we have now, where you can actually do dowsing, find where the programming originated, clear it, and then it's often like, okay, it's a cluster, right? It's like, oh, there's that mind, and then there's this one, and this one, and this one, and this one right next to it. And it's like, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to be here for a while, because I'm going to decommit the whole cluster.
And a reminder, too, to make up your own analogies, whatever resonates and works for you. Because as soon as she started talking about it, I'm like, oh, it's like the minions running around and they're out of control and they're doing shit and getting in trouble, and right. So we all have our own little analogies.
But you can it's a similar thing, right? It's like you're going to take the time to stop and literally decommission the programs.
Yeah. Yeah. Mastery of minions.
And the masterful beings. And, we had 3 of a kind, 3 sevens. So we've got luck on our side, which to me feels like the spiritual allies. And if you think about the masters, the spiritual masters of this world, this is what they, when they went and did their 40 years in the wilderness or sitting under the Bodhi tree or whatever, it's like, this is what they were doing. Exactly what we're talking about. They were deprogramming, decommissioning the false program. And that's eternal enlightenment and liberation. That's what they were talking about, because once you've decommissioned all of that programming, you can take a breath and live in the present. It doesn't mean you never have fear. It doesn't mean that you never have like an anxious thought or a negative thought, but it means that you're not literally running around in a minefield of things. You have your thought, you have your feeling, it's emerges, it's expressed, or it's processed, and it's gone. And you're back to bliss, right? So that is what the masterful soul process is about. And it takes time because we've got thousands of years of programming.
Yeah.
It's like after the
Go
war.
easy on yourself.
Minefields everywhere, and we all have them.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, you guys, we got to run.
No.
I don't want to go. Well, we're going to chat for a minute afterwards, but yeah, just want to remind you that even though things might seem really crazy and out of control or going backwards, it's energy, and it's you get to manage your energy. So what are you willing to observe? What are you willing to take in? What are you willing to work on for yourself? I love that Janice says she's been purging so much stuff that I feel I no longer need it. It's helping me to feel lighter and free and very transforming. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so what do you need to do for you today? And do that every day. Every day is a new day. Quit beating yourself up about what you didn't get done. Doesn't matter. There's many days where I'm like, wow, I was just don't even think I had time for self today, but was getting stuff done. And I know you can relate, Ashala, because you're back-to-back appointments as well. And so some days are like that. It's like, okay, I got a new day. Yeah. And some days I wake up and my muscles are all sore. I'm like, I haven't done anything. What happened last night?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Would you like final words? We'll give it to Ashala for final, but Norma?
Yeah, however you look at it, guys, understand this. We're all here having an experience. And how we perceive that, whether it's through an analogy, whether it's the mind of the soldier or the minions, and knowing that it takes that childlike way of approach sometimes, like with the minions, the only time they really chilled out is when the girls were around. And it was because they were able to refocus those minions and, blow their little minds. So, however it is you use it or whatever approach you take, understand this. Be light with yourself and you will become light.
Beautiful.
Take responsibility and full, understanding that it's you that's got to do the work for the changes that are presenting themselves. So don't be hard on yourself. Love yourself through it and come at it from a perspective of observation, no judgment. Allow it to show you something so much more about what it was than what you allowed it to be.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ashala, all yours.
Well, I'm hearing that those 3 sevens are reminding me that we have allies. We have spiritual allies, and we often forget that. And one way that I am delighted to connect with my spiritual allies is to ask for synchronicities to be shown to me. So I feel like this week, this 2-week period over this full moon and summer solstice, actually winter solstice down in the Southern Hemisphere, but this time where the polarized extremes are the most contrasted, basically. It's the darkest dark and the lightest light. It's also the most thinning of the veils around the equinoxes and the solstices. And you can ask to be shown in whatever ways are meaningful to you. You know, for some people, it's finding dimes everywhere. For other people, it's seeing, you know, number sequences with 3 of a kind or 1212 or 1111 or whatever. And for some people, it's finding a certain kind of feather or asking for a sign and then something extraordinary happening. Really pay attention to those synchronicities and allow yourself to be comforted by that.
Yeah.
To be
Gratitude for it.
Yeah, the knowing that you're not alone in this. And somebody had just mentioned, you know, at least we're all together in this craziness. Well, you know, maybe this craziness is actually, if we could shift it and start seeing it as being more of a fun ride, and that we not only have each other to share this with, but we have all our guidance teams in the other realms and the ascended masters and all the different beings that you value, that you hold dear, ancestors and so on. So they're with you now. And if you can open up and allow those synchronicities to be shown to you, you know, and then realize that's them saying, we're with you, we're right beside you, we've got you. Yeah, do that this
Beautiful. Yeah, we love you guys. Have a beautiful week, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget, David's on at 4:00 today. I'm on tomorrow at 4:00, and Alex will be on Friday at 4:00. So yeah, love you, Ashala.
Thank you. Likewise, beauties. Blessings.